and that's a true story. And I like Jim. He's a good guy, and he's been very successful. But in that realm, he hasn't been successful.
This question's in from Ron. He understands that interest rates will go up on a home loan in an inflationary environment. But what will happen to interest rates on home loans with deflation?
Interest rates will go higher. And then at some point, when inflation ceases, they'll fall. And probably fall to 0 or 1.5% like they are now. But not because they're manipulated there by the Fed, because it'll be the natural market, because nobody will be borrowing money. So that's the path they'll take. During inflation, the rates will climb. During deflation, they'll eventually fall.
This question came in. He says he likes Dennis Kucinich's bill over Ron Paul's. He says Kucinich is trying to get the Federal Reserve nationalized. Your comments, please.
Well, why nationalize it? Why not just give it back to the Treasury? I mean, why go through that, ridiculous exercise? Just investigate them. Once you investigate them and find out what they're doing, and they're breaking the law every day, and then you just say, well, let's vote for the companion bill, which is also in the hopper. And that's to do away with the Fed, and that's the way to do it. Get rid of it and put up tariffs so we can save America. If it doesn't happen, you're going to be fighting in the streets, and you ain't going to like that.
And there isn't any benefits of having it nationalized. I mean,
no.
Jeff Rentz recently posted an article from Benjamin Fulford, wherein Fulford opines that there is a power struggle between royal families with great wealth and gold, hard assets, and industrialists against the owners of the private Federal Reserve and the owners of the private European money printing press.
That goes on perpetually. It has gone on ever since the royal families of Europe took over control of finances via Godfrey de Bouillon in 1190. And they took it over from the Crusaders, who had taken over the financial control of Europe, essentially. And, of course, the Catholic Church at that time backed the nobility, which now today we call the black nobility. But they've always argued among themselves. And they've had wars among themselves. But, you don't see too much of that today, or for the last 100 years, because they realize how detrimental to their position it is. And so the control of a country's wealth in the form of currency has to be with the government. It can't be with a private bank. 2 reasons. The private bank charges government interest, and that shouldn't be. And second of all, they get all this inside information. Their buddies in the Illuminati can't miss. You're on the phone, you're talking to, let's say you're with the Treasury Department, you used to work for Goldman Sachs, you're talking to somebody there, and they say, we're going to do this, that, and the other thing. And the guy on the other end says, thanks, goodbye. And they short this and they go long that and blah, blah, blah. This goes on all day, every day. Martha Stewart spent 6 months for violating a law that is broken over 1 million times a day. Most people, as traders, as brokerage houses, almost never make a decision unless they've got what they feel is inside information. It's the way the system works. It's subjective. I spent 28 years there, I know.
This is from Darlene. Do you see anyone getting wise to the fact that the change from Bush to Obama has not gotten us any change? And do we have enough?
It's reflected in the Rasmussen poll that gave, at the end of 100 days, Obama a 53% rating, not the 60% rating that they got from ABC, NBC, et cetera, and I have projected by the end of October that his rating will be 40. And so the answer is yes. People are catching on fast. Why do you think they're 15 deep at gun shows, buying guns and ammunition? I mean, what bigger clue do you need?
And do we have enough time to wake these people up before the Illuminati gets their one world government?
Hopefully. But if we can't do it through the Congress, it'll be in the street. It's going to happen. And if these people think they're going to get away with it, they're crazy. We're coming after them. And we're going to try them. If we can keep them safe from the mobs, it'll be after them. This is going to be like the French Revolution in little France. And it was little in the late 1700s. They cut off the heads of 300,000 people. I don't know what percentage of the population that was. But I do know this. A lot of heads are going to roll if we can't stop the mob.
This person has an opportunity to relocate to Switzerland to work there for the next couple of years. Do you think it is a good place to ride out the coming financial storm there with his family, or is he better off staying in the U.S. and hope that the sheep will wake up?
Better off in Switzerland. It's expensive to live there, but it depends on. There's not a lot of social life in Switzerland. You'd have to do it among other employees who are international in nature or people that you work with. The Schweizerdeutsch, which are the people from northern Switzerland, also known as Swiss Germans, they're fairly ebullient, but they roll their streets up at 9:30 in the evening. There's not much going on after that. The French roll them up at 8:30, and that would be in Lausanne and Geneva. I lived in Switzerland for 3 years. I speak both languages, so I've got a good handle on it. If you go over to Lugano, where the Italians are, it's party time all the time. But anyway, if you're in the German or French-speaking sectors of Switzerland, it's a pretty mundane life. These people, they're really workaholics. I mean, they're up at 4. They're on their way to work at 5. They get there, say, at 6, and they get home at 6 at night. They take a 2 or 3 hour lunch, depending. And that's their giant meal for the day. And usually people, and I know I lived there, went to school there, I worked there, and in order to be able to have a nice lunch every day, you have to get a seat in a restaurant, and that's not easy. So you have to know somebody who knows the owner of the restaurant and says, look, this is my friend, and he'd like to have lunch with us here every day. And the guy says, well, I think we can squeeze him in over here. And people who drink wine or beer with their meals, they put their name on the bottle. It's real interesting. But anyway, Switzerland's a great place to live. And it would be far, far less dangerous than America.
Also, here's a second question. Do you know why Lou Dobbs has such a blind spot with the economy, constantly repeating the mantra that everything will be fine soon and there's no depression, when he is so on target with the NAU, the border issue, illegal immigration, outsourcing, and the NWO? He respects him as a journalist. Could it be that he is right and money printing really does work in the 21st century?
Hardly. It's called editorial balance. They said, look, if you're going to do this, you've got to do that. He's the biggest show. And he came back out of retirement and wrote his own rules, but I'm telling you, that's why he's doing what he's doing. Otherwise, they wouldn't let him stay there. I mean, you don't see me on major television. Because if I said what I think, like he does, and beyond that, they wouldn't like that. I was just recently credentialed by ABC and Fox News to go on television. And they asked me to go on, and I refused.